All right, welcome everybody. We are really excited to be here today to talk to you about summer research opportunities and programs for next summer here at UHN. We have a really great lineup of people here today to provide tips and advice for you as you begin your search for a summer position. Before we begin today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the sacred land on which the University Health Network operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. This territory was subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and learn on this territory. I know we have a lot of people joining from all over, not necessarily just from Toronto or the GTA. So if you'd like to receive some more information about the land which you are currently located on, I encourage you to text your city and province to the number on the screen. And I also encourage you to follow the link with the QR code for additional resources. So I will leave this here for one moment just to allow you to capture these, and then we will continue. Now, just a few guidelines to go over before we get started. So I just want to emphasize that the slides and the recording will be shared with everyone who have registered. So all of you who are here today will be shared with all of you after the event today. We do ask that you please remain muted and keep your videos off. We have a lot of people joining right now, so we want to make sure that we conserve as much internet and risk any interruptions to the connection as possible. There will be a lot of opportunities to ask questions throughout the session today, and this can be done using Slido. We will be sharing the link into the chat closer to the Q&A period, and so think of any of the questions that you have and anything that's left unanswered, please do pop that into the chat. And lastly, this is a safe space, so we do ask that you all follow the ORT Code of Conduct, and any non-compliance, will result in removal from today's event. I'd just like to highlight one of many accessibility features that Zoom offers. So this is captions. And you can enable captions by clicking the Show Captions button in the bottom bar of your Zoom window. Caption settings can be edited and adjusted to your personal preferences or needs by clicking the up arrow on the left of that button. You have the option of adjusting font size, color, contrast, and many other things. Additional accessibility features that Zoom offers can be found by clicking the link that Amanda just put into the chat, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen as well. Give me a moment to capture this as well. Next, I'd just like to take a moment to introduce myself and who we are at the Office of Research Trainees. So my name is Jordan Beck, and I'm the coordinator with the ORT. And I'm joined here today by the manager of the ORT, Dr. Amanda Very. You'll be hearing from her a little bit later in the presentation. So we have lots of information to cover today, and you will learn about UHN and the research taking place here, what you can expect during the summer, guidance on how to apply for summer positions. You'll be hearing advice from a UHN scientist, Dr. Mary Pat McAndrews, who's with us today, as well as a former UHN summer student, Jackson Howe. And then, as I mentioned, we'll be ending it off with a Q&A session. All right, so let's get started. We have a very comprehensive website that has a lot of information that we're going to talk about today, including different databases, educational opportunities, and so much more. We'll be linking and referencing many of these resources today, but this is a great place to go back to and refer to when you're looking for any of this information. This page will also house summer job postings when they are available and any other information that we think will be helpful for you as well. Our website also has many other opportunities available, many of our workshops and events are available to everyone. So we do encourage you to join, even if you're not working at UHN. There's some great topics that we cover and hopefully very comprehensive and beneficial to you. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about with you today is why participate in summer research. So there's many people here today in the Zoom audience. So there's clearly a lot of interest in doing research, which is great. So the first thing is that you can explore whether you even like research. Over the summertime, you'll get a really great sample of what research is like, and it'll help you understand if this could be a possible career avenue for you to explore. You will also gain valuable experience to help you with your applications to programs, such as graduate school or any other professional schools. Many programs either require past research experience, or it is highly beneficial as it can strengthen your applications and make you stand out for additional programs. You'll also be able to build some really important skills, like your research and communication skills. You'll be able to broaden your scientific understanding, your self-confidence, and more. I remember when I started doing research, it really helped me understand the concepts that I was learning in my undergraduate lectures, and really putting those theories and concepts into practice when working in the lab was honestly really cool. Thinking about learning about DNA replication and then running my first PCR and thinking about how all the stuff in the tube is interacting. So I found that really cool and really helped solidify my understanding. You'll also have the opportunity to explore potential careers. If you come work at UHN, you'll have the opportunity to meet so many cool people. Everyone's got really diverse backgrounds, different education, different experiences, and this will help you gain some insights into what they're doing, if their careers perhaps are something that you may want to explore in the future. And by meeting all these people, you'll also be able to build your network, which is also a really fun thing to do. And last thing, research is fun. In my opinion, it's fun. You'll be able to learn so much, meet so many people, and it's a great time to explore your curiosities. So for those of you who don't know, UHN, or the University Health Network, it's a big place. It consists of 5 hospitals, an education center, and 6 research institutes. So the 5 hospitals which you may have heard of: Princess Margaret Cancer Center, Toronto General Hospital, Toronto Rehab Institute, Toronto Western Hospital, and most recently the West Park, as well as the One Education Center. So intertwined within all these hospitals are the research institutes. Each of them have a specific research focus, and I'll walk you through some of the different research that's happening at each of them in a moment. So the breadth of research at UHN is really vast. It's a big place. There are over 1,200 principal investigators conducting really important research in their own fields of healthcare, and leads to a lot of discoveries and publications, with over 4,000 in 2024. Excuse me, and a lot of research funding as well. As you can see, there's over 1 million square feet of research space at UHN. So this makes UHN the largest research hospital network in the country. So I think that's pretty cool. So as I mentioned, what's so exciting about the research at UHN is how vast it is. It covers everything from basic science, computational science, translational, and clinical research. So the research is split into the 6 different research institutes, which you can see all listed on the screen, and each of them have a specific theme. And what's really great about this is that within the research institutes, you'll be able to meet a lot of like-minded individuals who are all interested in working in that similar field of research. And so you can find those commonalities, as well as access different trainings and learning opportunities that are specific to those fields. Now we're just going to move over and talk a little bit about the research institutes and an overview of the different themes and type of research happening at each of them, just to see if it's where your interests may align. So first we have KITE. So KITE is a research institute associated with the Toronto Rehab Institute. So listed on the slide, there are a number of key research topics, which include artificial intelligence and robotics for rehabilitation, cardiovascular fitness, neural engineering and therapeutics, sleep science, swallowing science, and much more. I just want to draw your attention to the images on the left of the slide. And so these are some images of some research facilities at KITE. The one I found particularly interesting when I toured this space was the driver lab. So the image on the bottom left, it's an actual car, like in a room, or a movable room, I guess. And they do so many cool experiments. I can't do it justice because that's not my area, my background, but it's testing reaction times and all these different things. It's super cool. So you have an opportunity to check it out, even if this is not necessarily your field. I recommend it. Next, we have the Krembil Research Institute, which is associated with the Toronto Western Hospital. And this is where our UHN scientist, Dr. McAndrews, has her lab. And So Kremble has many different research topics, and it's spread across the brain and neuroscience, bone and joint disorders, as well as eye disorders. So a really cool breadth of research happening there as well. Next, we have McEwen Stem Cell Institute. So as the name suggests, one of their key research topics is stem cells. They do a wide variety of stem cell related research in regenerative medicine, blood cancer, cardiac regeneration, liver disease, and so much more. Next, we have the Princess Margaret Cancer Center, which is associated with the Princess Margaret Hospital. And this is where Jackson, the former UHN summer student, did his placement last summer. So you may be familiar with Princess Margaret with their fundraising events like the Ride and Walk to Conquer Cancer. So the research that takes place at PM is focused on cancer research, of course, and they use a variety of different approaches to answer cancer-related questions, which include computational biology, genetics, immuno-oncology, protein structure and function, supportive care, as well as others. Next, we have the Education Research Institute, which is called TIER, or the Institute of Education Research. So their research is focused on teaching, learning and practice, society systems and structures, technology, innovation, and simulation. So just to give you an example of what this could mean is some of the research is, for example, is looking at operating rooms and the type of communication that's happening within them. And then they're looking to see how they can make that communication better, making the operations happen more seamlessly and more efficiently. And that's just one of the many examples of research that they do. And last but not least, we have the Toronto General Hospital Research Institute, which, as you can guess, is associated with the Toronto General Hospital. They do a lot of different research on topics such as cardiovascular health, community health, infectious diseases, transplantation, and more. So one of the really cool pieces of research that I wanted to draw your attention to is associated with the image just on the left of the screen. So this is an image during surgery when they're able to have a lung sit outside of the body while it's being transplanted, and then they're able to assess different factors just to ensure if the lung can be successfully transplanted. And this was developed through research at Toronto General. So something really cool. So I know this was a quick and broad overview of all the research happening across the different institutes, but I do encourage you to check out the UHN research website. It'll do a nice overview of the different supervisors, different theme areas, different areas of interest. They can help you tailor your search, and Amanda will talk about this a little bit later in the presentation. So keep this in mind. All right, so before I pass it over to Amanda, I just want to tell you a little bit more about the UHN Summer Research Program. So what it is, who is eligible, and what to expect. So the Summer Training and Research Program is open to all summer research students at UHN. Even if you are part of another program at UHN, everyone is welcome to take part in this program here, or in short, it's called STAR. So the Summer Training Research Program, or STAR. Amanda and I in the ORT run this program, and it consists of a series of educational learning sessions to build your research and professional development skills. These can include how to give an elevator pitch, research data management, presentation skills, as well as includes panels to explore graduate school and different careers in healthcare. And by the end of the program, you'll have an opportunity to share your research at our research day to help build your presentation and communication skills. And so students who complete all of the requirements of the program will receive a certificate of program completion, a great thing to add to your CV. All right, now who is eligible for UHN summer research positions? So the vast majority of summer students are undergraduate students and are all at different stages of their degrees and have different experience levels, meaning you don't have to be you're in your final year of undergrad and have all of this past research experience. Anyone is welcome for these positions. We also have medical students join us for summer research projects over the summer. And also health professional learners such as nurses, occupational therapists, speech language pathologists who have time off in the summer from their programs can join for research as well. We also have certain graduate programs that require work placements during their programs come and do research. And also high school students who are over the age of 16 can also have summer positions. So if there are any summer or high school students in the audience today, we highly recommend that you check out the UHN STEM Pathways webpage, which is linked with the QR code. They provide a lot of great resources and supports to high school students. So the requirements to work as a summer student are quite broad, as I just mentioned, but it is important to keep in mind that many labs and programs and positions may have specific eligibility criteria. So just make sure you keep an eye out when you're reading different positions and different program write-ups to make sure that those requirements align with yours. Now, what to expect during the summer. So we do encourage that you all find paid summer research positions at UHN, and if you have a paid position, you must be paid at least minimum wage. So this applies also if you have an award. So some awards come as a lump sum, so you want to make sure, and you will be paid at least minimum wage for those. You can seek out volunteer positions as well, but we do encourage you to find paid positions if that's possible. So the start dates in terms of work, meaning the number of hours you're going to work and the number of weeks you're going to be working, are flexible and don't have any specific requirements. Once you've secured a position, you can have a conversation with your supervisor to decide exactly when you'll be starting. Typically, students work between the months of May and August. And lastly, in terms of the style of positions, so in-person, remote, or hybrid positions can be available, just depending on the nature of the research. So if you have to be in the lab or not, this is also something to discuss with between you and your supervisor. So a lot of important things to have a lot of important conversations to have. So there are many opportunities at UHN to learn about science and healthcare. So you'll have the opportunity to attend different scientific seminars and take part in other education sessions like the ones I was just talking about as part of the ORT STAR program. And again, just to reiterate, the ORT does host a number of workshops throughout the year, and those still do occur during the summertime. So please do take advantage of those as well. So on the screen, there is a QR code to a database where you can learn about the different offerings that you can access during your summer at UHN. Because there's so many different opportunities and programs available, we want to consolidate those for you so you can make sure you can get as much as you can during your summer. And I do want to just highlight one exciting opportunity to you all. So the UHN summer students can also participate in the Cancer 360 Plus Summer Student Program. And this is run by the Cancer Education Department. This is an e-learning series to give you a 360-degree view of cancer. So there'll be weekly lunchtime Q&A sessions with experts in specific fields. And if this is open to all UHN summer students, but if you're part of the Princess Margaret Cancer Program, you'll have the opportunity to attend additional sessions with pizza and take part in their annual research day. And this program runs from June to August. All right, so I will pass this over now to Amanda.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. So now that I hope we've convinced you that summer research is a wonderful thing to do and that it could be a great stepping stone to different career options and different learning opportunities, I want to share with you a little bit more about how you can actually apply to these positions. And just as a fun fact, I will say I did start my career in research from a summer program, not at UHN. I was across the street at Sinai Health. But these really are amazing opportunities to get more experience, figure out what career areas you want to go into, and really get your hands involved and build new skills in different areas. So it's a wonderful experience. So there are three main mechanisms for how you can find summer research positions, and we're going to go through each one in more detail to give you more advice for each one of them. And while many students obtain positions by applying through a summer student program or applying to job postings, which are the first two that are outlined here, the vast majority of people obtain their summer positions by contacting UHN scientists directly. And that approach is really useful for setting up positions throughout the whole year. If you have placements or thesis projects that you want to do, that's a great approach. So we'll give you tips for each one of these mechanisms. So the first one we'll start off with is applying through summer programs. There are many summer programs that help students find summer positions at UHN. And there's a couple different ways in which they work. Some of the programs will help to match students with scientists directly. So you'll apply to the program and then they help match you. Other ones will post job postings for specific positions and then you'll apply to them. And then if you get accepted, you'll be part of that program. So to make this easy for you, we made a database of all of the programs that we're aware of that are at UHN, the University of Toronto, or other groups that can help you obtain summer research positions at UHN. In this database, we include descriptions of the programs, program requirements, due dates, and how to apply. So definitely check that out. I'm also going to go into some of the examples of the programs you can apply to and just highlight some key ones. And just a note here, I know it might sound confusing that we're including University of Toronto programs, but the vast majority of our UHN scientists also have an affiliation with the University of Toronto. And so that's why by applying through some of these University of Toronto programs, you can be connected with UHN scientists. It doesn't mean that you have to be a University of Toronto student. Anybody can apply to these summer programs, and you can use that as a mechanism to be set up in a position with a UHN scientist. So the first program that I'm going to highlight is the Radiation Medicine program, and this is a fantastic summer program that is affiliated with Princess Margaret. So in this program, students would have the opportunity to work closely with researchers and clinicians from different backgrounds, including radiation oncology, medical physics, radiation therapists, and much more. And you'll be able to do research projects that are focused on radiation medicine. This is a summer program, and the start and end dates for each one depends on the supervisor. So on the screen here, we have a link for you to learn more about the program and the application process. It's also included in the database, which again will be included all these slides, and the recording will be sent out to everyone. Um, Definitely check out this space. A lot of the programs don't have due dates yet. So the positions for this program will be posted in February and March. And then you'll have to apply to the supervisors directly with your CV and cover letter. All the information and deadlines will be posted on that website. Next up, I wanted to highlight a program, a program between Sinai Health and UHN, which is the Geriatric Summer Scholars Program. This is another program that is taking place throughout the summer that is all about fostering a greater interest in careers in geriatrics or the care of older persons. And so with this program, you'll be paired with a scientist and you'll get a whole experience of both research as well as being able to do some clinical shadowing in the hospital. This clinical shadowing is something that many people get to do when they do summer research at UHN, especially if their supervisor is also a clinician. So for this program, you'll apply online. Applications have not been posted yet, but keep checking it out and they should be posted in January. Next up, we have the Medical Biophysics program. This is an opportunity through the Medical Biophysics Department at the University of Toronto, and many of the faculty members in Medical Biophysics are located at UHN. There's also lots that are located at Sunnybrook. So if you apply to this program, you could get connected with scientists from either center. Both are fantastic institutions. But what's really great about this program is you apply online to be part of a central pool. Your applications are reviewed based off of your academics as well as your research interests, and the faculty members review your, the slides disappeared, Jordan. Okay, cool. The faculty members will review your application directly, and then they'll reach out to you if they want to interview and give you an offer. So what's great about this is you don't have to apply to many different labs or email a lot of people. They'll do the matching for you. And so that application deadline for this is coming up. It's on January 15th. Another program I wanted to highlight was the Research Application Support Initiative. And this is another program that's based out of the University of Toronto through the Community of Support. And for those of you who don't know, the Community of Support is a fantastic program based at U of T with the goal of increasing diversity in research and healthcare. And so through this program, interested students who are Indigenous, Black, Filipino, socioeconomically disadvantaged, or who identify as having a disability, they can apply to the community of support and then have access to this special part of the community of support, which helps provide support to get research positions. Again, you don't have to be affiliated with the University of Toronto to get access to this program. You can apply from any university, and it's a wonderful opportunity to get mentorship and really get one-on-one support to find research positions across the University of Toronto as well as UT. So now that we've highlighted some of the programs, I also want to highlight um, applying to job postings directly. Now, this is an option that isn't necessarily used a lot. There aren't a lot of opportunities that are posted, but there are some, so definitely something to take a look for. You can look for positions on the UHN careers page, and this is the same page that all careers or jobs that are being posted at UHN are posted on. New jobs are posted every Thursday, so you don't have to check every day. You can just check those out every Thursday and look for titles that have summer student or co-op student or research assistant in the title. And some groups do hire through that mechanism. And the great part about that is that you put up all your application online. And again, you're not emailing individual scientists. It's a great simplified way to do it. Now, we also try to highlight some of these job postings when we see them on our website. So the website we've already shared, which is the UHN STAR program page. Sometimes scientists will post new jobs directly with us, and we'll include that on our page as well. We'll also email some job postings periodically out to you just for coming to this session. So those are great options. They don't come up often, but if you see them, they're a great and easy way to apply. So next up, we have the main mechanism, as I said before, of how people set up summer research positions. And this may seem a lot more intimidating, but this is the approach of contacting UHN scientists directly. And so there's a couple of steps to this that we'll go through and we'll provide lots of tips. But when you think about who to contact, there's two main ways that you can do this. One is to explore the list of scientists at UHN and find supervisors that you'd be interested in working with that you want to contact. And the second way is utilizing your network and expanding your network so that it can help you find a supervisor. And I know this may seem intimidating, but we've all heard that networking is a really important tool and to find jobs. So I want to mention it because it is a great approach that you have that can really improve your chances of getting a position. So first up, to help you to be able to find supervisors that you're interested in, UHN Research has this fantastic website. The link is on the slide here. And I love this website because it lets you search different scientists' names either by research interest, institute, or by name. And so what's great about this is if you're not familiar with which institute you want to work for and you don't know the exact names, you can search this website by different keywords. So you can look for scientists working in any area that you're interested in. You can look for heart failure, cell therapy, animal models, crystallography, single cell genomics, anything that you're interested in. They have keywords that you can click. They'll give you a list of all the scientists working in that area. And then you can then click on and learn a little bit more about them. Sometimes it links to their lab website so you can learn more. It also gives you a description of their research history, their current projects, and a lot of different information that you can use to see if it's a match for you. I personally use this website all of the time because there's so many scientists at UHN. It's hard to get to know all of them and what they do. And so this is a really powerful tool to be able to find ones that work in specific areas you're looking for. Now, another great approach is, like I said, is to use your network. And I know that when you hear that networking is important for finding jobs and advancing your career, that can feel really, really intimidating. And in research, networking isn't necessarily essential. There's lots of other ways that we've told you that you can get some research positions, but it can be a great way to give yourself an edge and get yourself in the door. I will say from personal experience, I was a first generation student. Nobody in my family had ever even knew very much about science. So I didn't have any family members that could help me or introduce me to people. But I didn't realize until later on in my career and in my life that I actually had built a pretty good network slowly over time just by knowing people in undergrad, interacting with different people. And so I think if you really reflect on it yourself, you might realize you have a larger network than you think. And even if you don't, you can build a network, and we're going to give you some tools and how you can do that, and how you can utilize that approach to help you find a summer position. So the first off is all of you are probably taking courses. And so you can talk to your current or past professors about your research interests, and they can see if they have any recommendations of people that you should reach out to. This could be as simple as talking to somebody in their office hours and sharing your interest. And they're usually, aware of other people in the field, and they might have, connections or ideas of who you can reach out to. Especially if you've done a thesis or worked in a research lab before, the people in the lab that you've been in might be able to connect you with other people they know or give you suggestions. You can also talk to your teaching assistants if you have any teaching assistants for your lab courses or tutorials. These teaching assistants are usually graduate students or postdoctoral researchers who work in research labs. And so if you impress them, they might be willing to introduce you to their supervisor, or they might be interested in talking to you and giving you advice on how to approach their supervisor or things like that. So basically, just using the people around you that you already interact with in order to access these positions. And of course, you can always talk to your friends and family, even if you don't think that they're connected to anyone. You never know. You could have somebody who knows somebody, and maybe they can help you to connect you in some way. In addition to utilizing your existing network, you can also expand your network. And this is one of my favorite approaches here is with connecting with graduate students and postdoctoral researchers in the labs that you're interested in. And so how this works is, let's say you decide that you really think Dr. McAndrews' research is really interesting. So you can look up her lab website and look up the different graduate students and postdoctoral researchers in her lab, and then see if you can find their contact information, either their email or on LinkedIn, and reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to tell you more about the research. Now, obviously, I think it's important to be genuine and about your interest and talk to them and actually find out if it's the right fit for you, if you have the right background, if, just to learn more about it. But what's great about this approach is that these graduate students and postdoctoral researchers often get less requests than scientists. I know this approach really worked in when I was a graduate student. I would meet with anybody who emailed me to ask about my advice because I had free time and I always wanted to give back. And if somebody really impressed me, then I would recommend them to my supervisor and they would maybe give them an interview. So just doing this approach doesn't necessarily get you a job for sure. You still have to do the work in impressing them, being genuine, asking questions about the research, and it could be a good approach to take. Another approach would be just attending different networking events, going to different seminars, academic events, social events for different research areas, networking or recruitment events, and seeing if you can meet different people. This can feel a little bit more intimidating, but it's an approach I also took as well. It actually helped me land my first research position was just by going to a recruitment event and talking to the graduate students and scientists there, and made a great connection, and then helped me to land an interview to then sell myself more for a position. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about those approaches, you will identify scientists that you want to work for. How do you really contact them directly? So we'll give you some tips for that. So first off, the best way to contact scientists is by emailing them. So you can email them directly, straight cold emailing without knowing them, and just introduce yourself. Now, scientists are very busy people, so don't call them and don't go to their office. Email is the normal, most used, best approach to take. Now, when you're emailing them, it's important to include a couple of different things. One is a statement of why you're interested in their research. This is really important. You want to showcase that you've looked them up, that you've understand the field that they're working with, and why you're interested in their lab specifically. So here we're not emailing 100 different scientists with the same generic message because they're not going to be interested in hiring you if you don't give them a reason why. So you really want to say why you're interested in their research, especially if you can highlight or showcase that you understand pieces of their research and tie it back to some of the courses you've taken or some of the experiences that you've had. You'll also want to include your resume or CV. And the last thing you can include is your transcript if you feel comfortable. This is something that you don't absolutely have to do, but if you feel like your academic record is an asset to you and will showcase your strong academic skills, then it's a great thing to add as well. Always make sure that you're being professional when you reach out to these scientists. Um, Always use Dear Dr. McAndrews. Make sure that it's in very professional language. And while doing that, you also have to personalize. So it's a balance of both, making sure that each email is unique, but always has the right professional tone. You want to make sure that you're being very careful about your writing. You want to avoid grammar and spelling mistakes. Research is all about the small details. Details are so important for having your experiments work and having success. So lots of scientists look for that attention to detail because it's important in research. So really take the time to make sure your application materials are good. And lastly, you want to be as clear and as succinct as possible. Remember, again, these scientists are very, very busy. They get lots of emails, they have a lot going on in their life. So the most you can impress them is if you make them short and very effective. This is also a really important skill in science and being able to write succinctly. So don't write 3 pages long because they'll likely not read it. Keep it short and have all of the information that you're interested in sharing with them. I would say just to everybody adding questions in the chat, thank you so much. We will be switching to Slido at the end of this. We wanted to finish all the content first so you can hear all of the content and then ask questions. So we'll ask you to put those questions into Slido later when we open that. And with that, I've told you from a non-scientist point of view how I think you should contact a scientist. But we'll pass it over to Dr. Mary Pat McAndrews, who gets lots of these emails and can share some tips with you of what approach she thinks that you can take.
Great. Thanks so much. Lovely to be with you all. And you've done a great job, both Jordan and Amanda, at kind of outlining things. Although I will say, if you show up at my office with a latte and a chocolate chip cookie at 2 p.m., you might actually get an interview. But that aside, it is true that calling me won't be any great advantage to you. Yeah, so I just wanted to say a few little things to kind of add on to that. I'll say them, I guess, partly from my own lens as a Krembil scientist, which, of course, I think the brain study of the brain and brain disorders is the only thing somebody should be interested in doing, but I'm sure many people are interested in other things. But that really is a kind of way of saying, look for where you think you might be passionate about studying something, right? You might not have a great idea yet, although you might say, hey, I'd really like to be able to study the brain and its disorders, or my passion is in, working, understanding the elderly or understanding, robotics, et cetera. So if think about a kind of placement that might help further hone in your interests and your skill sets. So, and from Krembil, I would also just say that there are, many of the labs collaborate widely within Kremble. And so you may actually then have the opportunity to not only learn what's going on in my lab, which is very one focus, but also kind of learn from other people. So I might be collaborating with a neurosurgeon on one project and a computational neuroscience on another project. So you do get for all of us, you get a big flavor of multidisciplinary and multimodal kinds of experiences, which I think is a real benefit, and I'm sure that's true in other places as well. And as Amanda said, for sure, things like attending the talks is very helpful for helping you understand, hey, are these people doing stuff that I find interesting and I'd like to spend a summer learning more about? I will also just share some of my former summer students. They have gone on to, wonderful opportunities in graduate school and medical school. I'll share my favorite story of how you contact me, which was I was giving a lecture, a one-off lecture in a course. And one of the students followed me to the TTC and just kept, talking to me about his interest in research until the streetcar came. And then, lo and behold, came on for a summer research project, became a graduate student, and is now a professor at McGill. So you can definitely, find creative ways of approaching professors. I think I'll just reinforce kind of the things that Amanda had said, that it's really critical to kind of personalize or customize the message to us. We do get lots and lots of kind of inquiries, and it's really important to know that you really you've considered already whether you think you're a fit for this. And so, tell us a little bit about how it, might fit with your goal, your own goals, for example. Likely for many of you, it's your first research experience, so you might be a little tentative, saying, "Oh my gosh, I've never worked in a lab. How is this? How am I going to attract the attention of this researcher?" And that's where learning a little bit about what we do might help you to understand that a little bit better. Well, oh, I've taken this course in neurosciences, or I've studied. I had this one paper that I had to write on Alzheimer's disease, or I have these particular skills in coding or other kinds of things that you think, oh, this even though I've never worked in a lab before, this might actually be something that might indicate to this PI that, hey, I'm really going to be a good fit for their lab. What you already know is going to really be helpful as in terms of highlighting that kind of fit. And so tell us about it. And even I know we're telling you to tell us a lot of information, but keep it short and succinct. And you might say, how am I doing all of that? But if you kind of grab me in that statement, then I'll probably spend more time looking at your CV to look at some of those kind of components than less time. So grabbing me in that initial email, which in the subject line should say summer student position or something like that, so that I know it's not just spam from somewhere that I'm not interested in. So definitely have that kind of information available so that I can kind of then say, oh, I'd like to pursue this person a little bit further, and let's set up an interview. What works best is in that kind of interview opportunity then is really your curiosity, your enthusiasm about doing the work. That's what we're looking for, are people who really indicate not just, oh, I think I need this on my resume, or I think this would be good to help me get into medical school. I'm not interested in you if that's the only reason you want to come to my lab for a summer is to increase those chances. It will increase your chances probably, but really it's the enthusiasm about the kind of questions that I think really helps to shine through, and really to be able to kind of indicate that your kind of quest for greater depth of being able to explore your own passion as well. So it's research is all about let's find something out, right? It's let's find out the answer to this problem. Let's investigate and how we can move the needle forward in terms of this particular issue. But I'm also interested in your kind of curiosity or inquisitiveness about yourself. So a lot of the students who are like, I have no experience in a lab, but I'm really interested in this kind of work that you're doing, and I'm also really interested in finding out, is science for me? I'll share my own experience that my initial plan as an undergrad was to be a lawyer. And so I did a little summer kind of internship actually on Capitol Hill because I was in Washington, D.C. at the time. And then I also did a summer with a researcher in cognitive neuroscience. And I thought, between these two experiences, what can I see for the rest of my career? And for the rest of my career, for sure, I didn't want to be a lawyer. I definitely wanted to say, oh, I'm really excited about these, the ability to kind of answer these questions, and I really care what the truth is, right? What's ground truth, and how am I going to help contribute to that? So I think that's, even if you end up at the end of the summer saying, this was a fun experience, I really loved the people that I worked with, I thought the questions were interesting, but I don't really see that as the thing that's going to animate me and get me out of bed every morning. That's fine too. At least, again, you've got some skills that are probably transferable in terms of, critical thinking and, care in the techniques that you're using, and that's going to stand you in good stead no matter what kind of career path you take after that. So definitely have a an approach in your letter. Or in your email that indicates, something about why this is a good fit from your perspective, the kinds of things you want to learn, and the kinds of things that you think are a way in which you'd be able to contribute to the kinds of questions that we're looking at. And I think that is probably the thing that most interests me. And as I've said, I've either had students who were kind of at the end of their undergrad career and, ended up, they knew exactly what they wanted to study and, almost pitched me the study that they wanted to embed within the lab. And that was great too. It was wonderful to be able to see that. And I've had people who say, this is my, I'm a second year undergrad. This is my first experience. But here's the reason why I think I really want to be able to learn a little bit more. And here's why I think this is the right spot for me. And I'm really eager to roll up my sleeves and get ready. So to help and contribute. So that's my little pitch for how to pitch to us. And I'll turn it back to Amanda, and happy to answer any questions at the end.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all of that insight, Dr. McAndrews. We'll see how many emails you get after this meeting for sure. But I think it's so important because students find it so hard to make that first email, to write that first email. But we're all people, and it's just really about interest. We're interested in meeting people that are interested in research. And so displaying that research is the most important thing that you can do. So moving it along, we are very excited to also have Jackson here. Jackson is a former summer student. And so he's been through this whole process and he can share his advice with you as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Amanda. Yeah, so my name is Jackson. I'm a fourth year computer science student at the University of Waterloo. And the past 2 summers, I worked as a summer student in the computational cancer genomics lab with Dr. Sushant Kumar. So that's at Princess Margaret Cancer Center. So both summers I did data science research for cancer genomics. And I was also part of the medical biophysics program and the STAR program, which are 2 programs that are really great for your kind of like professional development as well as your research and domain development. So I would highly recommend those programs if you get the chance to. I can go over a little bit of advice for like applying and securing positions, and then I can also kind of get into kind of advice for like once you actually have a position. I think Amanda and Jordan and Mary have done a really great job of overviewing like how to get a position. I think the only thing I can add is just don't be discouraged if you don't get a response. If you email a professor or like a researcher or a supervisor, they're all pretty busy people. So if you don't get a response, like it's not the end of the world. You can kind of just like move on and there's a lot of opportunities out there for you to do research and things like that. So that's kind of like my one thing about securing a position. Now moving on to a little bit of advice for once you actually have the position, I think it's a really great opportunity for the summer. Like I had a ton of fun both summers that I worked at UHN. I think the 3 things for me is think of the summer as like a learning opportunity. And then the second thing is to just like bring energy, be confident, be curious. And then the third thing is to just like take every opportunity that you can, every opportunity to learn more and to meet new people. I think those the three things are really important. So yeah, just thinking of the summer as a learning opportunity. You're not really like you're not expected to write a paper. Like you can't, I don't know, you can't really write a paper in 4 months. That's a really short time frame. So just focus on like learning, growing your skills, talking to people, getting to know kind of the area that you're working on, as well as other like transferable skills. I think are really important that I took away, like time management, even stuff like workplace etiquette, like what to wear. This research position was kind of like one of my first real jobs. So understanding like commuting, like everything like that. That's really important just for your like professional development as well. So that's kind of like just remember to always try to learn. The second thing is like bringing energy. I think it can be a little bit anxiety inducing when you're like, damn, I don't know anything in this field. But you got to look at it as like everything that you're working on is new to you, which is really exciting. And bringing that energy and that confidence and asking questions and in meetings and stuff like that. I think people really enjoy that and really appreciate that, and it contributes to a really like kind of like fun and curious lab culture. So I think bringing that energy is also really important when you're a summer student. And then I guess the third thing is just take every opportunity that you can. I know sometimes it can be a little bit daunting and intimidating to just like reach out and do something that you haven't done or you're unsure of if you'll do well at. But I think at in research and the fact that UHN has so many resources, you can really kind of like shape your own learning path and journey through things like seminars and mentorship and different programs. And you really have the opportunity to like make the experience your own, which I think is something that's really valuable and unique in research and specifically with UHN. Like just a story I'll share. I helped to organize a trivia night last summer for UHN trainees. So we did like a Jeopardy, Family Feud. We had pizza. It was super fun, and that just started from me like sending out an email, and Jordan was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's plan a trivia night." So I think there are a lot of resources to help you not only with programs that are already in place, but I think if there's initiatives and ideas that you have, even if it's outside of research or whatever it is, I think UHN has a lot of resources to support you. So yeah, three things for like once you actually have a position, just remember to always learn, and that's what you're there for in the summer. The next thing is to like just bring energy, be curious. And the last thing is to just take every opportunity and avenue that you can to kind of really shape your own learning experience. And yeah, I'll stick around to answer questions if you guys want. Like I don't know, I can send out my like email or LinkedIn after the presentation. You guys can ask me questions as well. I'll answer those. But yeah, UHN summer research is super fun, and I think it's a really great opportunity. And I'm glad that so many of you are interested in it.
Amazing. Thank you, Jackson, for sharing your experience. I was laughing to myself when you said even about like what to wear to work, because the first time I had a research position, I'm pretty sure on my first day I went in like full out business attire with like heels and everything, and just like didn't know that that wasn't necessary and maybe not even bio-safe. But you don't know when you don't know. So yeah, it's okay if you make that mistake because I was there too, and I still got a PhD. Everything was fine after. Didn't ruin my
Yeah,
life.
for sure.
So we have one more slide before we'll switch to questions. We'll open up the questions. I just want to mention one other thing you can do is there are lots of summer research awards that are out there that can help you. These are great opportunities because if you can get a summer research award, it not only advances your CV and your resume, but it can also help you to find a summer research position. If you get an NSERC award that covers all of your pay, then it's easier for a scientist to take you on. So there's lots of different places you can apply to summer awards by. We have a database. We'll link it here. It's linked here, sorry. You'll also get it in the package when we email it out. There's also specific awards for some specific populations of students, like for students who identify as Black and or Indigenous. So definitely check that out. So we have about 5 minutes left for questions. Me and Jordan will stick around for longer, and we'll try to answer as many questions as you have. You can always feel free to email us after if we don't answer your questions. But for now, Jordan has put the Slido into the chat. Feel free to add your questions there. If you see a question that's already been asked, that you also have, please upvote that so we can make sure that the most popular questions go to the top. You can use either the link in the chat, or you can use a QR code on this slide, or you can visit slido.com and join with the code 3018592.
Great. We'll just give maybe a couple moments for the questions to come in. Oh, there's lots coming in already. Maybe without wasting any time, I'll just start asking them. And I see people are already upvoting questions, so that's great. That'll help me prioritize the questions as they come in. So the first question, the most popular question so far, is related to GPA. Amanda, do you want to take the first one? How much does GPA matter for this?
Good question. I think that that's something that is different for every single scientist. Every scientist has a different way that they prioritize who they're going to hire. Some people really value looking at GPA, and other people don't value that as much and look more for genuine interest in that area or skills in a relevant area. So it's very different for each individual scientist. They're all their own business owners who make their own hiring decisions in different ways.
The next question is on the topic of, oh, they're popping around. The one I'm looking at right now is LinkedIn a good place to reach out to researchers and scientists? I think it definitely could be a resource that you can use. I think in my opinion, I would stick with emailing, just because not everybody has a LinkedIn, not everyone's frequently checking their LinkedIn. So I think if you're wanting to reach out to supervisors, I would recommend sticking to email. But perhaps there's maybe other grad students or other research personnel that you could try reaching out to there. But again, for supervisors, I would recommend sticking with email. The next popular question is, what would be an appropriate time to start sending out these emails and start searching for these positions? Amanda or Dr. McAndrews, is there any comment on this?
I can jump in and just say probably mid-January, I guess, is a good time because of first we have to screen the emails, then we have to decide who we want to invite for an interview. And UHN does have a onboarding process that has a minimum time period of 3 weeks. And if you're wanting to start in May, count backwards, and mid-January is probably a good time to start sending them out.
I agree completely. I would say the sooner the better, or like the sooner the better come January, because as people hire, they'll have less available positions. That being said, I definitely know students who have set up their positions in April or May. It's possible, but the earlier that you start, the easier, the best chance you're getting it to yourself.
Next question. Amanda, do you mind taking this as I filter through the questions? Are students who are graduating in June still eligible for undergraduate summer research opportunities?
Yes, they are. I would check if you're applying through a program, check the requirements. Some programs have specific requirements that might not allow that, but you can work as a summer student after the summer after your undergraduate degree ends.
The next question is how to set up your resume if you have no research experience. I can make a first comment, and if anybody wants to follow up. I think it's just highlighting both your interests or really anything that can show curiosity. I mean, if you're part of a different group that's helping with this one thing, but it's like you're helping develop a program, you're helping run these different I don't know, like the thing that jumps to my mind is a summer camp. If you're working in a summer camp, you're helping lead a group, you're helping running these programs, like that's leadership skills, that's curiosity, that's showing initiative. So I think like highlighting anything that could be relevant to show different skills, perhaps if you don't know how to do working with a pet at a bench with a Bunsen burner, that's okay. But just showing that you have the drive to learn new skills and be curious.
I agree with that completely. I think other things you can highlight is specific courses you've taken that are relevant to their area of research, because that shows that you have a foundational knowledge in that area. If you've taken any lab courses, that's not research experience per se, but that does show that you have some experience with the techniques. Any kind of volunteer positions in an area related to science. There's lots of things that you've done in your life that can fit there and can help you to access these positions. So just think about broadly those kinds of experiences.
And I would just add in coding experiences too,
Mm.
because that's often, a good benchmark in terms of whether or not you're going to be able to hit the ground running in a lab versus not. So if you've got that, that will definitely give you a leg up.
Great. Maybe I'll bug you, Dr. McAndrews, again for the next question. There's two relating to reaching out to supervisors. The first one is, do you like receiving follow-up emails if they haven't received a response? That would be the first question. And I guess the second question is, in just a general call or a cold email to you, what do you like to see in the email? Do you prefer seeing like attachments and cover letters and resumes, or do you just prefer it outlined nicely in the body of the text?
No, both great questions. So everybody who knows me knows that I tell them the first thing if you interact with me is send. If you don't hear from me, bump me again, because if it's fallen off the first page, then you're not in my world. I'm very bad at folders, etc., to try and make sure that I'm going to be able to look at those emails. So it's fine, obviously in a respectful manner. And we all do that to one another, right? I've sent 5 emails this morning saying, just bumping this up to the top of your email inbox kind of thing. So people are very used to that now because we get so much stuff. Um, the attachments are, I like is I will look at an attachment only if the body of the email is actually something that speaks to me, basically. So if you just say, I'd like a summer research opportunity, here's my CV, I'm probably not going to look at your CV. Because for one thing, it probably tells me that you haven't really thought very much about why you might be a good fit for the lab, because your CV certainly probably isn't designated that way, right? So, or you haven't designed it that way, I should say. So yeah, put something in the body that will definitely kind of catch my attention.
Great, thank you. Next one I'll give to you, Amanda. Do you recommend asking for research as a volunteer if you haven't had any prior research experience, and then you move on to applying for grants and awards?
Great question. I want to just highlight quickly, it is past one, so Dr. McAndrews and Jackson, if you have to leave, feel free. We can continue with the questions. If you're free to stay, you're welcome to it. I recognize that we have limited time, so well, thank you for coming. But yeah, in terms of this question, I would say that volunteering can be a good path for some people, but we recognize that it's not something that everybody can afford to do. And we don't want research to be only accessible to people with privileges to be able to volunteer. So I recommend always asking for research positions to start, paid research positions to start. There are limitations to doing research positions as a volunteer. You can only work 15 hours per week. You can't have a full-time volunteer research position because of the policies at UHN to restrict that. So I would suggest highly trying to find paid positions first, even if you don't have any experience. If someone comes back to you and says that they can't offer a paid position, but they can offer a volunteer position, that's up to you to decide whether you can afford to do that and if that's a reasonable approach to you, especially if you're taking, courses on the side or you have another job that you can do at the same time, and that's a good approach for you, go for it. But I would recommend that everybody try to find paid research positions because you'll get to do the research for a longer period of time. You'll really get to dig in more, and it's a great approach.
Awesome. Also, just with the time being after 1 o'clock, I'm going to share a feedback survey in the chat, just for those of you who have to go. So we do encourage you to share the feedback. We always really appreciate it and love to hear what your thoughts. Just to keep asking more questions, Jackson, if you have time for a question, maybe I'll give this one to you. If you've taken courses in the summertime, do you find that have you found that manageable, or is it, sorry, I guess I should rephrase. I'm not really asking much of a question. Do you, have you taken a course load or some courses during the summertime? And if you have, did you find that manageable?
Yeah. I can stick around till whenever. So yeah, I'll be here. Yeah, there was like I know people do it. There was one summer I think I took two courses, like they were both online. Um, yeah, I think it is manageable to do. Maybe especially if like I don't know, maybe if the courses are like at U of T or something and they're right next door to where you're doing research, maybe you can do that. I think another thing to maybe focus on too is like sometimes it's not about the quantity of your work. Like it's not that you did like this and you did like this course and like all this stuff, but it's about the quality of your work and like the connections that you make. I think um, what I learned a lot just throughout my university career is like a lot of times it's like people that you meet and people that can vouch for you and stuff that really are like boosting your development and your career. So if it's maybe like one or two courses, yeah, sure, go for it. And you feel like you can do them on the weekend or something that's what you want to do. Sure. But if you're working full time as a research position, like keep in mind it is gonna be like, at least like, it'll be like 40 hours or something like that. So just keep that in mind too when you're thinking about taking courses.
I would also just add that, as new researchers, you should be working in the lab at times when the other researchers are also in the lab, the graduate students and postdoctoral researchers and your supervisor. So in general, you'll kind of be expected to work 35 to 37.5 hours a week from like 9 to 5. And you can negotiate if you want part-time or something different, but for the most part, people work full-time from 9 to 5-ish or 8 to 4-ish or whatever in that frame. And so if you can take courses in your evenings and weekends and you feel like you have the bandwidth for that, go for it. But recognize that if you want to get the most out of the experience, like Jackson said, you really want to be dedicated to your research, being prepared and being on top of things, then you want to really commit to that and not take on too much outside things that will detract from that.
Also, I guess one more thing too is like it's summer and you're in school, like enjoy yourself too. Take some time to like enjoy yourself. I think that's also important.
Agreed. Work-life balance is always an important thing
Which is really important. You have
yeah.
to choose a lab, not just on the research they're doing, but look into the pictures of the summer barbecues from the lab. That is a key.
That's
Such a
a
good
great tip.
point.
Yeah. The next question is talking about the STAR program or the Summer Training and Research Program offered through the ORT. The question is asking, do you have to have completed the STAR program in order to be considered / apply for summer research programs? So the STAR program is a program that occurs while you are a summer student at UHN. So if you'll need to have secured a position and be a summer student to be able to access this program. So these are all opportunities once you're in the program. It's a program to supplement your research experience at UHN. It's not the pathway to get a position. There's a lot of questions. There's 70, so far there's 73 more questions. So I'm not sure we'll be able to get through them all. So I'm just going to keep doing a quick little scan just to make sure I'm catching a good breadth of everything. But I guess then another popular question has to do with, oops, sorry, my mouse is being weird. In terms of our recent, I've heard, and I've seen this question come up a few times as well. Are recent graduates eligible for these types of positions? So if you've completed your undergrad already, are you able to come back and work as a summer student?
Yes, I think we already answered that one. But yes, you can be in your last year of your undergrad and have completed that and work for the summer. That's fine. One of the questions I saw a bunch was about interviewing and any tips for that, which we haven't really talked about yet. So if you're preparing for an interview with a scientist, I would suggest to make sure that you're reading a little bit about their research. You don't have to know everything about their research, but definitely read their website, their descriptions, if you can look at a couple of their past papers, especially if they have a review or something like that, where you can get the background information of more about the field without having to think about the nitty-gritty details of every single experiment. That'll be a great way to come up with some good questions about the research itself and about the field so that you can show your interest, as well as, again, figuring out if it's the right area for you and if it aligns with your interests. Think about having questions prepared to ask the scientist. It's a two-way interview. You want to find out if the position is right for you, and they want to figure out if you are right for them. And so you want to think about what's important to you, figuring about whether the position is going to fit with your schedule, what you're looking for. If you're the type of person who wants to also be able to shadow different clinical areas or do anything like that, you can ask if those are an opportunity, especially if, as I mentioned, the scientist you work for is also a clinician. You can ask about that. But having questions prepared makes the conversation go easier. So you'll have something to speak about. And it also shows that you're being prepared. One of the things I always suggest is have an elevator pitch prepared. And that's just like a 3-minute summary. The first question that they're going to ask you is always going to be something like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And you want to have that prepared because you can use that as a way to sell yourself for the position. You don't want to be telling them a million things that are unrelated to the research area or unrelated to this summer research opportunity you're applying for. So you really want to give them a quick summary of who you are, your background, and how it relates to that position or doing research and things like that. So having some of those things prepared can really help you start the interview off on a good foot, as well as being confident. I always find the more prepared I am, the more confident I can feel in a discussion. It takes away some of the nerves. Dr. Andrews, do you have any additional advice for people who are interviewing?
No, those are great things. Again, I would it's helpful too if they express or they ask, what the nature of their engagement is going to be, right? Because somebody, obviously if somebody can't work with small rodents, and that's what the lab does, that will be a problem, but they may be able to do something else in that lab, etc. So it's just helpful. Even in my lab, it could be I'm just working with data, neuroimaging data or clinical data, or will I have the opportunity to actually interact with patients in collecting data, etc. It's a nice way, I think, of again demonstrating that you kind of know that there's a broad landscape of things that could go on in a lab, and you might just want to get a better sense as to what specific kind of involvements might be available to you.
Great, thank you. Next question, I'm going to pass it over to Jackson again. Just thinking about when you were applying to your position, do you remember like what types of skills and types of opportunities and things that you've built during your undergrad that you highlighted to help you secure your position?
Yeah, for sure. I think Dr. McAndrews mentioned this, but like I'm a computer science student, so I think I really tried to emphasize like my programming skills. I think there were a few like I don't know, in computer science there's like some hackathons, which is like you build a project and stuff like that. I think there are a few projects there that I emphasized. I think that's kind of like the angle I took to get a position, because the research I was doing was like basically all programming and like data analysis and stuff like that. So I think that was like the angle I took. If you're not like, that's just kind of an example for me. I think the biggest thing is just like find stuff that you've done or stuff that you're interested in, or skills that you have that make you kind of like unique and like an addition to the lab too, because I think a lot of labs might be looking for people to, at least our lab was, we're looking for people to like kind of complement their skills and what they do. So skills that maybe the lab is looking to grow in. I think that was like a lot of what I highlighted. I think obviously you want to highlight relevant things, so that's like courses, projects, like things like that, or and just anything that you've like had responsibility and you've yeah, like you've like the researchers want to see and hear what like you've done specifically. So I think that's like the main thing. Just like find where you can do your best work in the lab, or find what skills make you the best. So that's kind of long-winded, but yeah.
It's great. I think that those you've made really great points. It's definitely leveraging the skills that you've built and areas of interest. So that's really great. Just scanning through this a little bit, I'm seeing a common themes again, just like there's so I just want to remind everyone this the recording and the slides will be shared with everybody. So to answer a lot of some of these questions, but again, like you for the paid positions, you will be paid at least minimum wage, but that can vary a little bit. In terms of reaching out to your supervisors and the knowledge and the background knowledge that you have, I mean, you're not expected to have the same level of knowledge as the supervisor. Um, having curiosity, reading up on the research before to just know that you're familiar with it, just to comment on things that you're interested in, I think would be great. Um, again, being succinct, I think it's in terms of your emails and reaching out, and just highlighting as well. It's something that Dr. McAndrews put in the chat is looking for opportunities for personal awards like NSERC. That was a question that popped up as well. Let's see.
I'll just answer one question that I saw, Jordan.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if there are positions available for 8 months co-op placements or if these are all 4 month positions. I think that we have lots of co-op students that work at UHN at various points of time in the year. Some of the advice that we were giving you today, if you were applying to this a specific summer student program, those are specifically built for 4 months. That doesn't mean that you couldn't then continue that placement on for 8 months. They're just not designed for 8 months. If you're emailing scientists directly, you can say from the very beginning that you're looking for a 4 or 8 month placement, and that's up to you to decide with the scientist. In some cases, that might be an advantage because they might really like the idea of having somebody for a longer period of time where you can have more impact. And so I think those are definitely possibilities. You just have to be clear and know when those apply. And just a reminder to the people with their hands raised, we're answering all the questions on Slido so that we can focus on the most common questions because there's so many people that have so many questions. You're also welcome to email me and Jordan after. I'll put our email in the chat if you have any outstanding questions. We're really focusing on questions that relate to a lot of people. I know a lot of people have questions that are specific to them, and we don't have enough time to capture those today, but we're happy to follow up later.
Next question, Amanda, if you don't mind taking this one. Is it possible to hold 2 research awards at the same time?
It would depend on the awards themselves and what the terms of those awards are. So when you apply to an award, there'll be lots of different rules and different conditions. So I can't say it's possible if you had 2 small awards that you could take both. It just depends on the terms of those awards. But as we mentioned before, if you got an award that's only, let's say, $2,000, you still have to overall be paid at least minimum wage for the summer. So that $2,000 would go towards your summer pay, but you would get paid more than just the $2,000 for the summer. And every award you get is an advantage. So if you were to come with $2,000 of funding with you, this $2,000 award, then your supervisor would have to pay you $2,000 less. So that gives them an advantage to hire you over somebody else. And like Dr. McAndrews said, it also shows that you have won something, that somebody has recognized your academic achievement or your achievement in an area. And that is a great sign. So those are definitely things, even if you see awards that are a small amount of money, they're a great thing to highlight and a great thing to apply to.
I'll just add to that even if the terms of the awards, if you're lucky enough to win 2 and the one that you're going to accept says you can't have another, you can always put it in your CV as awarded but declined, which even makes me even more curious about you because my gosh, you've got so many awards that you have to send some back.
And I guess maybe dovetailing on that one is the next question is, do you need to find a supervisor before applying to student awards? And Amanda, do you want to take that one? Or because I believe it
Yeah.
probably depends on the award, but maybe Amanda, if you want to take that.
Exactly. It depends on the award. I think there are some awards that you'll only have access to apply to once you already secure your position. There'll be other ones that you can apply to straight away. So it depends on the awards. Definitely check out the database that we'll send out. There's a whole bunch in there that are all different depending.
Another couple common questions that are coming through is if you're interested in multiple uh, research areas and different scientists, is it okay to reach out to different scientists? And I think it's absolutely okay. You're allowed to explore your different areas of interest. You can as long as you're expressing genuine interest and willingness to learn in those fields, I think that's absolutely okay to reach out to multiple supervisors in different areas.
Yeah, and absolutely think about not putting all your eggs in one basket. So, especially if you don't have a lot of research experience, you don't want to email one scientist, wait a month, then follow up, you don't hear from them and try again, and then, you know, not give yourself a broader chance. It does take some students might have to email quite a few scientists. So it's okay to be exploring multiple scientists in different fields and reaching out to a couple of them. If you get to the interview stage, just be transparent if you're interviewing with multiple people. So that they know. But yeah, definitely useful to try multiple approaches, especially if it's your first research position.
And then the next one, we haven't covered this topic yet. So it's on the related to summer research positions for health professionals. Amanda, if you want to take this, is this related to if they already are a health professional, or is this referring to like if they're like a nursing student rather than a practicing nurse? Do you mind taking that one?
Yeah, great question. I think it depends on, as a health professional, it'll depend on your program and your position. Most of the positions we're talking about are ones where you would be a nurse in training still, and it's part of your academic experience to do a research position, or you have a summer off from that schooling and you can do research in the summer. Um, as a summer student, that's not even a real term, really. It's people working in the summer. So you can do short-term research contracts if you want to, if you're a health professional who has the capacity to take on a research project. It's just not through this mechanism. So if you are not currently a student at a degree granting institution or a diploma granting institution, you're not going to be in the category of a research student. So health professionals can always access research positions, but if you're currently employed as a healthcare professional, you're not going to be a research student for the summer. And this is a very specific area that I'm happy to help you with. So if you're working as a healthcare professional and you want to get into research, please feel free to email me and I can help you navigate that process.
Perfect. I think we've really covered a good number of topics that and from doing a scan of all the questions that are left, I think we've really covered a lot of the topics and just being aware of the time. We're 22 minutes past, so we don't want to take up too much of Dr. McAndrews and Jackson's time. So I guess with that, if there's any questions that we've left unanswered, please do feel free to email us. There's a slide here with some more contact information. You can again visit our website, uhntrainees.ca, email us. You can send us a phone call. We also have some activity on social media, so which we also check. Again, we always appreciate your feedback from this session, so please do consider filling out our feedback survey. It'll also pop up in a browser after you exit the meeting. So with that, thank you so much. And for those of you who are left, join me in thanking Mary Pat and Jackson for their time. With that, thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, guys. Good luck with your applications.
Yes, good luck. It'll be great.